With joint cycling, everyone can improve their fitness in an easy, accessible, and enjoyable way. You don't have to train 20 hours a week to get big improvements with joint cycling's tailored workouts based on your fitness level. Use my 30-day free trial to see for yourself. The second sprint stage of this year's Tour de France could Mark Cavendish break Eddy Mercxk's record from Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne to Saint-Valbas. We have a couple of rollers, Cat 4 climbs, nothing serious to worry the sprinters. We were going to have a sprint finish, so mostly an easy day for the GC contenders and their teams, but a big target for the sprinters after half of them were denied on stage 3, where there was a crash in the final 3 kilometers, and just like on stage 3, no breakaway went. No one wanted to get in the break. Total Energy obviously got bigger fish to fry. Juan Ayuso, who's fourth on GC, stepped out just having a joke with Lazcano, but his team said, we don't want to provoke a war, although the peloton seemed pretty chilled, and he's saying it was a bit of a joke. Pogacar got in on the action, he and MVDP swapping turns, and then Ineos started on the radio. The chatter got a bit stressed. Is Pogacar attacking? What's going on? Eventually, Verchere and Rousseau got in the breakaway and things settled down, and Alpecin and Little Trek had them pinned at about 4 minutes, so it became a conventional sprint stage. This stage, though, in the middle was all about road furniture, even to the last 4 kilometres where the 3-kilometre rule had been extended to. Visma stayed in front position for most of the stage, and then with some clouds coming in and rain hitting the roads, the stress levels increased in the peloton. As you can see with all this road furniture, some of it taken out, but curbs, dividers. In European cities, these are more and more common. And here you see one, Vingegaard is waving, saying, follow me, because there's a divider coming up. There's other riders that signal it behind, and we can't see it from front on what happens deeper in the peloton. But there's actually not a big crash, but a coming together just behind, and it nearly involves Tadej Pogacar, who has the crazy save instead of hitting this road furniture. But here's what happens. I think it's Soler in front of him. I don't know who. Maybe I think it's Soler. He looks ahead, and then he's going to sort of nod with his head to follow him right. Intermarché are going to follow Alpecin right, and Sam Bennett, I think, on Decathlon, he wonders if there's not enough space for him right, so he's going to decide to go left. Pogacar, he overlaps his wheel with his domestique in front of him and doesn't sort of break. There is space behind his domestique to just follow right, but he doesn't. He sort of overlaps, trying to look himself where to go, and goes not left, just middle. And then he gets to this point here, and he's like, ooh, that divider's coming, and Bennett goes left where there's space. Pogacar decides to go right, but the peloton's squeezing. There's no space to go in, so he gets bumped off his own domestiques and quick step and has to emergency brake on the paint, just holding it up instead of hitting that road furniture. But the ricochet effect means that Peyo Bilbao, I think maybe Jack Haig, go down. But then there was the intermediate sprint shortly after, and Pedersen wins, which, is not the big surprise. He's been the best at them so far, but just want you to look at Jasper Philipsen, look at his body language. After that intermediate sprint, shakes his head. Something's not right. He just doesn't look as fast, maybe after the crash on stage 3, but he hasn't looked as dominant this season either as compared to last year. So that meant the sprint was going to be very, very open, and we've got more road furniture. We've got a short descent coming after a 3K climb, and notice, of all the teams in front, Ineos, Visma Lease Bike, UAE Team Emirates, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, those are 4 GC teams that were in front. There's one that's not, or DSM I guess are not, but Astana Kazakhstan also staying at the front all day. But look at Christophe Laporte. He's going to overlap his wheel to the left of one of the Visma riders and then pedal through this corner, but that's a mistake because there's road furniture in the middle of this corner in the narrowing, and he basically chops himself or gets chopped because Benoit goes left through the furniture. But Laporte seems to be okay, but yeah, problems for Visma. Another rider on the ground. They've had about most of their team crash so far. And as I said, here's the lineup of those teams. Astana keeping Mark Cavendish in good position through all this road furniture, with Vingegaard wanting to hop onto the other side. Not happy with the side he's on, but I mean, the Astana train of Fedorov, Lutsenko, they used Tejada on the climb before. They kept Cavendish forward, fresh, in good position through all this road furniture. You got morons in the middle of the road taking a video for what, your mum on Facebook, get a grip. And we're waiting to get onto the 4 kilometre go banner where the quote unquote safety is. We get there, GC teams go to the back, where they belong, and now the sprinters team starts. Intermarché and Lotto Destiny trying to get to this narrowing first, and again, Astana, look where they are with Mark Cavendish, front 10 positions. Look where Alpecin de Koenig are with Van der Poel and Philipsen, about 20 positions back in the peloton. Now that's a valid strategy that Alpecin de Koenig have used before. They've stayed at the back in UAE's Tour sprints, come up late with Philipsen or previously Merlier, but then 2Ks to go, they're still back there. And now Victor Campenaerts on the front for Lotto is absolutely drilling it, which means coming to the front is both very, very difficult to do, which you see maybe Søren Kragh Andersen is the man on the left-hand side trying to do, and it comes at a cost to your sprinter, obviously. Compared to where Astana are, they're already been in that position for Cavendish, quote-unquote, for free, by being there for the last 10 kilometers, and then they're fresher to move him up. You see Ballerini in front of Cees Bol, moves to the front, doesn't really start his lead out. He waits for Abrahamsen to jump, and he lets DSM also come across to the left of him so he doesn't jump too early. So the experienced train of Cavendish starts to click, although Mercxk actually gets chopped off Cavendish wheel at some point, so he can't do the final lead out. And so, yeah, they kept Cavendish in fantastic position. Yes, they don't launch him with 75 meters to go, but he's here fresh. 1K to go. Alpecin de Koenig on the right-hand side, and Cavendish wants that wheel of Philipsen from Phil Bauhaus, thinking that Van der Poel's going to launch Philipsen into the next dimension with his lead out. But actually, Dan McClay, he does a stronger lead out than Van der Poel. Philipsen's dropped off on McClay's wheel, but then McClay's about to go backwards. Cavendish launches out of Ackermann's wheel, goes across to the right-hand side as we look at it. Pedersen crashes into the barriers, and Mark Cavendish takes his 35th stage win at the Tour de France. But watch here, look at Cavendish surf, bang, onto Ackermann's wheel. He'd already taken Bauhaus wheel, which is the wheel to be, takes Coquard off it, and he knows Gibbons is a lead-out man. Gibbons will go, it's 300 meters to go. Ackermann's going to go inside barriers. Maybe Philipsen a little bit more cautious than last year. Cavendish slips through, and he knows Ackermann's about to launch and act as his lead-out man. And that's exactly what he does. Then there's the open space out of the bend where it's straight now. Cavendish looks to his left, sees there's clear air and space, and because while he's moving left, he's cutting off the draft to his back wheel. Philipsen spends 3 to 4 seconds getting to his back wheel as Cavendish is moving left. Now, did that make a difference in the end? Not really, to be honest. Cavendish just looks straight up faster than Philipsen, but experience, timing, precision, power, everything came together, and a pretty good lead out from Astana, Kazakhstan as well, leading to the 39-year-old Mark Cavendish taking that record-breaking victory ahead of Jasper Philipsen, then Christoph, a good sprint after crashing, De Lee, Jacobsen, Ackermann, De Maar, Gerben Thijssen, and Biniam Girmay, the teammates, and Maren van den Berg. In terms of GC, nothing changes. Pogacar still 45 seconds ahead of Evenepoel and 50 seconds ahead of Vingegaard as at yesterday. Ayuso in fourth, then Roglic, Carlos Rodriguez, Landa, Almeida, Ciccone, and Bernal. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you at the recap of the sprint tomorrow. Ciao.